Here is a number that should not be possible. A borrower makes their payment every single month on time for years and watches the balance climb higher than the day they graduated. It sounds like a mistake or a scam. It is neither. It is simply how the math of a student loan works when two ordinary features collide. And once you see how they fit together, a lot of confusing headlines suddenly make sense. Americans now owe about $1.87 trillion in student debt, spread across roughly 43 million borrowers. The average federal balance sits around $40,000. But averages hide the real story here. The median borrower owes closer to $24,000 because a small number of graduate and professional students with enormous balances drag the average way up. So most people owe less than the scary headline number, but many of them are still watching their debt grow. To understand why, you have to start with how the loan actually charges you. A student loan does not charge interest once a year. It accrues interest every single day on the outstanding balance. Take a $40,000 loan at around 6%. That is roughly $2,400 of interest a year, which works out to about $6.50 a day, every day, whether you are paying attention or not. $6.50 may not sound like much, but it never pauses. It runs while you sleep, while you are between jobs, while you are on hold with the loan servicer. Over a single month, it adds up to around $200 of pure interest before you have touched the amount you actually borrowed. Now, on a standard 10-year repayment plan, your monthly payment is deliberately set high enough to cover all of that daily interest and still chip away at the principal. That is what amortization means. Each payment pays the interest first, then whatever is left reduces the balance. Do that for 10 years and the loan reaches zero, exactly as designed. The whole plan is engineered so the payment always stays a step ahead of the interest clock. The trouble starts the moment the monthly payment drops below the daily interest, because then the clock is winning. And there is a whole system designed to drop that payment. Income-driven repayment. The idea is compassionate. Instead of a fixed bill, your payment is capped at a small share of your discretionary income. If you earn very little, your payment can fall to a couple of $100s a month. In some cases, it can legally fall all the way to zero. For a struggling borrower, that is a lifeline. It keeps them out of default. But watch what it does to the math. If your loan accrues $200 of interest this month and your income-based payment is only $120, you have not covered the interest. The $80 shortfall does not disappear. It gets added to what you owe. Next month, interest is charged on that slightly larger balance. This is negative amortization, and it is the engine behind the impossible number. You are paying faithfully, and the balance is climbing because your payment is smaller than the interest clock. There is a second mechanism that makes it sting even more, called capitalization. For most of the loan's life, that unpaid interest sits in a separate bucket, quietly accumulating. It is real, but it is fenced off from the main balance, and crucially, it is not yet earning interest of its own. But at certain trigger points, leaving a repayment plan, missing a recertification deadline, switching programs, that accumulated interest gets capitalized. It is folded into the principal itself. And here is the cruel part. Once interest becomes principal, it starts earning interest of its own. You are now paying interest on interest. A borrower who spent 5 years in an income-driven plan can hit a capitalization event and see thousands of dollars of accrued interest suddenly become permanent balance, all in a single day without borrowing another cent. Nothing about their spending changed. A deadline passed, a form was late, and the shape of their debt got permanently worse. This is why two borrowers who took out identical loans can end up owing wildly different amounts a decade later. It often has less to do with how much they paid, and more to do with which repayment plans they passed through and when the interest was folded in. Now step back and look at what the system is actually doing. Income-driven repayment was built to make loans affordable month to month, and it succeeds at that. What it does not do is make them cheaper overall. By lowering the monthly payment below the interest line, it trades a manageable present for a much larger future. The borrower feels relief now and carries a bigger number for decades. Most of these plans do end in forgiveness. After 20 or 25 years of qualifying payments, the remaining balance is wiped. So the growing balance is not always as catastrophic as it looks if forgiveness actually arrives. But that is a long, fragile bet. Miss paperwork, switch plans, or see the rules change, and the balance you have been feeding all those years is suddenly very real again. So the impossible number is not a glitch. It is the predictable result of a payment set below the daily interest, plus a capitalization rule that turns unpaid interest into permanent principal. If you are in this situation, the single most useful thing you can do is find out one figure, how much interest your loan accrues each month, and compare it to what you actually pay. If your payment is smaller, your balance is growing by design, not by accident. Knowing that number turns a mysterious, demoralizing climb into something you can actually plan around. A growing balance on a loan you are faithfully paying is not proof that you did something wrong. It is proof that your payment is smaller than the interest, and that is a number you are allowed to know.